What's up, y'all? Hotep Jesus. We back. Another uncomfortable conversation on this wonderful Friday night, people. I got a very, very special guest for you today. I got you all night. I got y'all all night because after this, it gets much deeper. We'll be right here on my channel. We'll be talking to the black conservatives, many of who have visited to go see President Trump in the White House. So that's gonna be lit. But we're going to be talking about the recent deaths we saw in the media, people murdered in Georgia. But it seems to be a little bit of a divide amongst the black conservatives. Some are going left, and some are going right. Hotep to the homies in the box. I see y'all tweeting. Shout out to the homie Dutch. Hold up, I'm on to Yo, shout out to the people in the box. Trisha, congratulations. You are now a moderator. Wait, where's Dutch? Dutch, congratulations. You are now a moderator. Appreciate you, yo. Appreciate you. Matthew Erickson, 199 super chat. He said, "Oh, I'm ready for this conversation. It's gonna be good." Shout out to Matthew Erickson for actually, putting this together, for connecting us. That's the good homie. When I was on Joe Rogan, I went out to California to go meet him. That's good peoples out there. Real good peoples. Tonight we're talking about pornography. I got a very, very special guest who knows the subject well. Knows the subject so well. She was deep inside. She was, no pun intended. She used to work for Playboy. We got Miss Emily Gaudreau. Now she tried to told me how to pronounce her name. Immediately being a pothead that I am, I just thought, got dro. Like, do you got hydroponics, got dro. But it's Miss Emily Gaudreau. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. You nailed it. That was perfect. And I'm hooked. I'm going to be. I got to listen in on what you're going to be talking for the rest of the night.
I love it.
I got stuff to do, but I don't know how I'm going to get people away from listening to you. So
just find something constructive to do around the house. Just turn it on and just let it be in the background. And when it captures your attention, come on over. We're very great. Listen, in the background, you're cleaning up and stuff like that. But yeah, tonight's going to be super lit. There might be some shots thrown. But Emily, where you from? Where you based out of?
I was born and raised in Colorado. But I pretty much I moved out when I was 15. And as soon as I got out of high school, I bought a one-way ticket to England and took off.
How'd you do that? 15. You got a passport?
Well, not at 15. After high school, at 15, I moved out of my house, and then after I got out of high school, then I took off. But and I hitchhiked around Europe, and I went to art school in Manchester, UK. That was awesome, and then became a commercial and editorial photographer. So, like after 9/11, I did a bunch of editorial work in Muslim East Africa, kind of documenting what was going on there, and good times, man.
What you know about Muslim East Africa?
I know that they were pretty stoked to have those towers blasted down. And you know what I mean, honestly, like, look at me. I had no business being in Muslim East Africa, especially after 9/11. They were like, don't go there. So that's where I went, of course. But it's funny because I was in art school leading up to it. Okay. And I had a mohawk. It wasn't a crazy, it was like, whatever, arty faux hawk. And I shaved my head real short. And I was worried because I was like, I'm going to this like conservative country, and how are they going to take a woman with a shaved head? But they were so appreciative. I wore traditional clothing, covered up, and my shaved head, which is how the women wear their hair there. So they would just like take me in, and like the kids are rubbing my head and they were like, thank you so much. It was this weird connection between me and the women is my shaved head. I would have never, I thought it was going to get me into trouble, and it was just the opposite. It was so weird.
Is it because they're not allowed to shave their hair?
It's just feminine to have short hair. It's
Is it?
masculine to have long hair. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay,
So
okay.
the women wear it really tight and neat and beautiful, and the men grow it out.
Uh,
It's just not. I don't know. I'm from Colorado. I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not
I
as
don't know
dope.
nothing
That's
about
dope.
that yet.
That's dope.
But
Um, no, that's cool. So you were who were you working for when you were doing that work in Africa?
so that was freelance, and then I
Okay.
would basically meant that I funded it, which like on a shoestring, and then tried to sell my images to Associated Press. So, um, I one specific time there was a real hot spot, or like they were really looking for a lot of images when we were in Kenya and in Nairobi, and apparently there was a riot, and they wanted pictures of the riot, and I was like, well, there's no riots here. They were like, oh, there's a riot, and there's Americans being drugged behind trucks through Nairobi. And the
What?
only thing that was there is the locals. They were comedians, and they would do whiteface,
Uh.
and they do this comedy show, and they'd make fun of the white, like it was a hilarious comedy show in the middle of the street. So they're laughing, they're going like this, and I have pictures of them. I mean, they all got really quiet when I came over, but um, but I was like, I don't have pictures of riots, but I have groups of people, and one of the newspaper companies bought it, and I don't even remember which one it was. Like a little, like nothing, none of the big ones, and they got my picture of these people just laughing at this comedian, cropped it super tight, and made it look like it was this riot. And I was like, come on, guys. It was the most disappointing thing. I'm out like trying to contribute to the like news and provide factual information. And I'm like, no, they're making fun of us. That's what's happening. That's not a riot.
They took your innocent image and turned it into fake news.
Yeah, cropped it really tight
Oh my God, that's
to where
some
there was a
like
guy who was jumping up and laughing. And he kind of had was giving me the side eye, like, are you cool with this, like making fun of white people?
right.
um, and so it looked like it was an aggressive, stance. And yeah, that's the one they got and cropped it tight and continued to talk about the riots that weren't happening in Nairobi.
Wow.
It was
Hotep with it. What up, homie? He said, blessing big brother and all in the chat. High favor, strong immunity. If this situation hasn't shown folk that they need to stay with it, nothing will. Looking forward to tonight's conversations. Oh yeah, stick around. We got more to come after this. Mike Larry, appreciate you. Thank you for the love. So yeah, so oh wow, that's crazy,
it's funny,
man.
right?
Yeah, all right, so how do you end up at Playboy?
So after I got done doing my documentary work, I had a few experiences like that. I call it the two types of photography is like hunting, where you're like looking for atrocities. That's what the news want is you're constantly on the lookout for despair and sadness and violence. You're on the hunt for it. It's ridiculous. And then there's the other type where it's the gatherer, where you're like, you're going to stand here and you're going to look over this way and we're going to pretend like everything's happy and sunshiny. And when I get, say three, you all smile and jump in the air. That's like gathering. We're going to gather our pieces to create an image. So I went from hunter to gatherer photography, and I got hired by Playboy to kind of document their events in a gatherer sort of way.
Okay.
Um, and honestly, I'll be straight up with you. They were the tamest. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, you hear about Playboy parties. I mean, maybe somewhere at some point there was some crazy stuff going on, but this was like the most tame, situation. It gets crazier, or it did get crazy, on Friday nights, downtown in LA, people had less clothing on than they did at this event.
Yeah.
Um,
Hollywood.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, it was totally well managed. Some of the best people I've ever worked with in the industry were managing it. I mean, Playboy, they're not stupid. They've been doing this for a while. They hire good, respectful, calm, nice human beings to work on the production side.
Okay.
And then the girls are, they're not looking for calm, cool, respectable girls. That's a whole different roundup. But yeah, so I
Yeah.
documented events for them.
Event photography.
Yeah,
That's
just kind.
dope. All right. So, I just got my mind going real quick. So what are you shooting with? Canon, Nikon? What you shooting with?
Oh, Nikon. Yeah, I've been. My dad gave me my first camera, and it's been Nikon the whole way. But I'll be honest with you. The last shoot that I did for Playboy, put the camera away. Haven't taken it out since.
Really?
I have no desire to do any photography at all.
Just died.
Done. Just hit the wall. Yeah, I had one moment when when you're looking through the camera. You're a photographer, right?
I used to be.
Okay, so you get it. Like when you're looking through the camera, you got to turn off all your other senses so you can tell how that image is going to turn out. So you shut down your ears and your feeling and everything and just focus on that like one-dimensional image. And you're capturing microseconds, 1/60th of a second or whatever. And I just caught this look in this girl's eyes. And I got home, I saw it at the time, and then I got home and I processed the images and was editing. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but it struck me as like not like I felt like I was victimizing her just by taking that photo.
Yeah.
She was totally clothed. I mean, and she just had like the little bunny outfit on. It really, I mean, it's more not even like a bikini, has more skin showing.
Right.
And it took me a while, but years later, I figured out that that was trauma. And
Oh,
now that I work with victims of sexual abuse, I see it. And every time I see it, it's the same look, it's the same flavor. And it just completely changed my perspective on pornography, even though that wasn't like hardcore pornography. And then I realized like 90% of the people, 99.9% of the people who end up in pornography were sexually abused as kids.
oh,
So, in my mind at the time, I was like, oh, everybody's got a choice. They can be here if they want to be, they're empowered to do what they want with their bodies. We're all cool, which, is the case. But a choice was made for them early on that they didn't have any power in, that led them into a trajectory where this is where they felt they belong.
yeah.
So that feeling of that they have the choice to be there kind of got a little bit warped, or just twisted. I was like, is it a
Yeah.
choice?
Saw
Is
that
it a
look in
choice
her.
anymore?
Yeah, saw that look in her eyes. Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you mean, man. Sometimes you see something in somebody's eyes where they don't want to be somewhere. Yeah, yeah. You can see that pain. So then after that,
Yeah,
you just put it down, huh?
done. I went home, processed the photos, and
That was it.
boom, done.
Wow. Is that what led to your work that you're doing now, or?
It's one of all of us, when you like how did you end up here? It's like
Yeah.
it's, you look back and there's these bits and pieces that happen. And when I was in, gosh, I think we were in third grade, my best friend would tell me about this stuff that was happening in her house. And neither her or I knew that what was going on wasn't okay,
Hmm.
but it was her mom was sexually abusing her and telling her that these things, we're doing this because you're so mature. You're so physically mature and mentally mature. This is how it happens. She would tell me about these things. And I was, yeah, well, that must be the case. We never thought to tell anybody else. She ended up growing up to be a stripper. She was extremely promiscuous in school, like textbook.
Mm,
And I thought, man, if I had known, we could have saved her.
right.
And
Right.
it's, it was such an untypical situation as well. But My parents let me go and spend the night at her house. I was over at her house all the time.
You didn't suspect anything.
No.
Wow.
Or my parents didn't. I knew exactly what was going on because she was telling me all the time.
Right, 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 right.
But when you're in third grade,
Right.
and
You don't get
I'm
what
like,
she's
oh,
saying.
yeah, I guess that's what happens.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's like one of the things that haunts me. And then I've had people close to me that were abused. And then the real catalyst that made me go, all right, who the hell is going to do something about this? Somebody do something.
Right.
Um, Somebody in my circle's daughter was, she was at school. I think she was like, I think she had just gone into junior high. Anyways, the FBI calls her parents and says, hey, so here's the deal. Your daughter's been in contact with this sexual predator, with this pedophile, and we've been watching the conversation, and he has scheduled to meet her at school after school today. So he comes over, when she goes over to meet him and he shows up, we go in, and we need you to be on the sidelines to get your daughter. And it
Okay.
was like, she was getting ready. She was that close to meeting up with a pedophile after school. And it was intervened. And it was like, who's going to stop this? Like, what are we going to do here, folks?
Mm,
And there was story after story after that I was like, all right, holy cow.
mm, mm. Yo, you see the new thing they call it maps?
What's that?
Maps. What the wow. I think it's
But I mean, like Google
minor
Maps, I
age.
know that.
I think it's minor age attracted. They're trying to rename pedophilia.
Oh,
And I think there's this new. The chat would know. The chat help me out. Y'all know the acronym, man. My mind's slipping me.
yeah, there was something for it was like young men and boy
Oh,
love
that's
or something.
Nambla. That's Nambla, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, I forget what that's called, but I think that's Nambla.
Yep.
Yeah. How much do you think this stuff ties into the LGBT community?
I think it's totally separate.
Okay.
I don't there's like no connection between pedophilia is kind of its own deal, and it's what's hard is a lot of not a lot of people making blanket statements here, but there are some people who are twisted enough to go, this is my sexual preference. We need to have it categorized in, instead of sexual dysfunction or disorder, have it categorized as a sexual preference, like the LGBTQ community. And I'm going to fight tooth and nail, and I'm sure they will too. Hell no, we can't have that lumped in there. This is a predatorial victimization. It is not a consensual. I'm assuming if you're part of the LGBTQ community, consent is a huge part of that all the way through it.
Right.
Where it's almost like rape being your sexual preference.
Yeah.
Ooh, like no, I mean they're raping children because there's no consent there. So
Right. Right. Now there's some sexual education going into the schools that's happening.
yeah, oh my gosh. So this bizarre road I've been going down lately because I don't like to spread misinformation. So people are like, they're teaching kids how to have anal sex and blah 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 in the schools. And somebody said, Emily, they're teaching them what blood play, fisting, like all these things are. And I'm like, no way. Right? Absolutely no way. No way. That's a bunch of BS. Like,
Right.
not believing it. It's true. And it took me a while to figure out and dig because, they're not going to be like, here's part of our curriculum and this is the fisting part and then this is the whatever and the blood play. What it is there's a book, there's a book written by the gal who has Scarlet Teen is a website.
Okay.
And her books are used as part of the sex education. And the first page, the intro of that, is talking about blood play.
What's that?
Blood. Okay, so that's why I looked it up. I'm like, oh, maybe it's like when somebody's on their period. No, it's cutting. It's cutting and playing and having sex in blood.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
Okay, so here's how we've ended up here. And I'm a Christian, so I can bash on Christians a little bit. Is we hit this like ultra puritanical shame towards sexuality.
Mm.
And we're feeling the rebound from that. There's this massive pushback where they're like, you can't say that the abstinence only education, all that kind of stuff. Like, get the Christianity out of there, right? But they're trying to do this inclusive education, which means LGBT plus whatever. They need to be educated on how to have sex as well as the heterosexuals. Now, so there's that, which is a lot. I mean, the way that two people can interact sexually is vast.
Absolutely.
Vast, and it's also sex positive, which is a slippery term to say the least, because when you're like, oh, we want it to be sex positive, we're like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, we don't want shame, there shouldn't be any weird stigma about it. We should be healthy, loving relationships, and everybody if they have sex, it should be good sex, and there shouldn't be anything around that. Well, great in theory, again, but if we're inclusive and sex positive, like, whatever feels good to you, whatever your thing is.
Right.
And now we're entering into kink, right? Kink. It's just like blood play.
Okay.
Or fisting or whatever. Like, we're no longer talking about sex.
Right.
It's everything that can happen in between, and how to do that safely and make sure nobody feels shamed. So the floodgates, like Pandora's box, has been opened.
Yeah.
And the other part is that the teachers, bless their hearts, are told that the kids write their questions. What's this? What's that? What does this mean? 50 years ago, we would have been cool. It would have been a little rough. I mean, anybody who's got kids says, like, do you have any questions about private parts? Go. I mean, it's going to be like insane.
Right.
But now you have kids at home watching unfiltered pornography, bringing that into the classroom and having the teacher explain what these different things are that they've seen.
Yeah.
In the classroom.
Yeah.
Which immediately brings it into,
that's rape.
Yeah.
If if this this has to be a certain level of consent to expose. I look at that like when people just send unsolicited nudes. That's a form of rape, yo.
Yeah.
I didn't consent to looking at that nastiness. Where do you stand when it comes to women? They got this term called body count. Where do you sit with women? Having being promiscuous and having partners and playing around before marriage and all of that.
How do I feel about them?
Young girls having sex a lot.
Yeah.
High school age.
I think it's, gosh,
it's heavy, right?
It's a good one. Yeah. Because I wonder why are they getting to that place in the first place? What void are they trying to fit in, or why are they feeling like, because I'll be honest, you ask any woman who, like, I'm in my 40s, what was sex like in high school? Was it good? Nah. It's not because it's so great.
Right.
It's like they're feeling, and nobody knows what they're doing.
Right.
It's like they're feeling the void. And I think they're also fulfilling this image of, this is how I am loved.
Right.
This is how I'm going to get attention. And a lot of times, I call it social grooming, to where girls feel like they have to be, can I swear on your podcast?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Girls have to be fuckable or they're invisible.
Deep.
And they know these girls who are getting this attention. And, even like, Halftime at the Super Bowl, there was this, all this upheaval about how sexualized the show was. And there was a lot of women that were upset about it, or people that were upset about it. And some are like, no, that's part of Latino culture, is to have, their butts shaken and, all this, all this stuff like at the camera.
Yeah.
And then they bring the little girls onto the stage with while this is happening. It's a message that if they're not looking like they are ready for sex, they're boring. And there's nothing worse to a teenager than being boring.
Mm,
They're invisible.
mm.
So
That's
they,
deep. You
and
know,
a lot of pedophiles, they're in prison, and that's what they say is like, I didn't have to groom. I didn't have to get them, psychologically prepared for what I was going to do, because society had already done it for me.
wow, that's crazy. I,
Horrible. Yeah.
one of my homies was on Twitter. He posted a video. It looked like he was breaking down into tears. I couldn't tell too hard. It was dark, and he was inside his car. But he was worried about a video that his daughter saw on TikTok. The women,
Mm.
shaking their ass. His daughter's only like 10 years old, and he's like, "Yo, what the f? What the fuck? Like, yo, like, is this what I have to? The world I have to bring my children up in? And like you
Yeah.
said, this is a form of social grooming to where."
Yeah.
I think women are broken at a very young age, and getting their age is getting younger and younger.
Which is where we get into the pedophilia being this okay thing when it's like the girls. And I don't want girls to feel shamed of their bodies and like the
Right.
short shorts and that kind of stuff. But it's just, who's driving the ship here?
Hmm.
And is this, women are like, I can wear whatever I want. This is my body. And they're shaming, they're like, these Muslim women, these poor Muslim women are covered head to toe. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We're like butt ass naked on billboards everywhere. Like, who's respecting who? Like, those are both extremes. Like, I don't,
Right.
you know, yes, women are, there's a lot of difficult situations for women all over the world, but it's like,
Mm.
it's not better
Yeah. Yeah.
or worse. We don't have it better.
The thing is, a lot of people are Christian, and even your Christian Bible will tell you about being, about promiscuity, tell you all about it.
Yep.
And I think, like you said, I think Christianity's done a very poor job of maintaining its traditions. I think American culture would be a lot better off if we stuck to what the church traditionally, has set out for the family.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't get into religion too much, but I've noticed time and time again that there's the sins. And I'm
Right.
talking about, like, when we're talking about Jesus. I'm not going to talk outside of, if we go Old Testament, like, that's a whole nother, that's
Right.
that goes deep. But when you sin, you watch the ramifications from it. When you cheat, and the effects from that just radiate through generations of trauma. You're like, oh yeah, it's just they got divorced or whatever. The kids, how it affects the kids, and it's just this like atomic bomb that radiates out, and it's so common right now. And it's like, it's not that, you can look at, everybody's got their own religious experience, but you can look at it as a way of being your freedom and avoiding these painful experiences. It's like a kid, not, don't touch that hot stove. Like, no, really, don't touch the hot stove. Oh, you touched the hot stove. I wish you didn't do that. You sinned. I hate that word. It's such a heavy word.
That's
But
interesting. Hmm. Okay. I love that word. That's why, I'm just saying, like, your point is quite polarizing in my view, but I love when people come with these polarizing thoughts. It expands minds. That's an interesting thought. Okay. I think it does put a lot of pressure on people, right?
yeah, and there's, like, we were talking about the sex education, is that people were like, masturbation was a sin. And it really isn't that clear in the Bible that it's a sin.
Okay.
Um, fantasizing. It says that, if you, I need to, I did go to a Christian private school. I don't have all my verses memorized, but there is a verse about, if you, basically, if it's in your mind, you have done it. And I
Right.
think that's where the pornography and the masturbation piece kind of runs in with the Bible. But shaming people for masturbation and like it, that's where people get heavy on the sin and the homosexuality and things like that.
Mm,
It's not done with a lot of love
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it comes
No.
from humans.
Right, 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 right. We're very flawed individuals. What do you think? What do you think of the long term effects of this? Especially when we're talking about children. What are the long term effects of, especially the society now? Right, like with the big booties on TikTok, and you know about OnlyFans.
I'm going to confess, I don't have an OnlyFans page,
Oh, thank God.
but I like funny memes, and I think because of what I do, I have to like everything is pretty conservative and like so I love really funny like adult memes, and they talk about the fan onlys. Um, I don't really know what that's about.
So basically, it's a Patreon like system where a creator can publish work where people pay based upon a monthly subscription business model. So you can
So
upload photos or videos.
so it's your
Or
own porn site.
bingo.
Okay.
It can be, right? Like,
Entrepreneurship.
yeah. I mean, you can sell anything. Technically, you can sell anything, but that's what they're doing, particularly on OnlyFans. But you
Got
can do
it.
this on a bunch of different platforms. They're choosing to do this on OnlyFans, and OnlyFans has become synonymous with the online pornography culture, or I should say, entrepreneurship side of things.
Got it. Okay, that's what I suspected, but I've been wrong.
And
You
it's been
know,
it's exploded. Even Jay Z recently wrote a song for Beyonce, and Beyonce mentioned OnlyFans in the song, so it's definitely like pop culture now.
gosh, like where does it go? I mean, right now I can tell you what I deal with personally right now, so we can get this in kind of unless we have a major shift in our culture,
Okay.
which we're starting to see some weird stuff going on with the COVID and how quick it is to like censor things. Um, I have parents calling all the time whose their kids have seen pornography and then they've acted that pornography out on other kids. And then their kids who were the perpetrators get put on the sex offender list. So we have this, again, it's like this atomic bomb of, so the people in the pornography were sexually abused as kids, most likely. Then the kids watch it. And as far as I'm concerned, they've been raped. And then they go and they do it to other kids. And then they get put on the sex offender registry, which is the atrocity of the sex offender registry is once you get on that, you're never coming off.
Right.
That's it. It is a life sentence. No matter where you work, where you go, you will get fired once they find out that you're a sex offender. Because you could say, well, I was 5 when it happened. It doesn't matter. We can't employ you. We can't be the one employer that has a sex offender. It doesn't matter. It's like this blanket thing.
Right.
Um, they can't live near schools. Most of the time, they can't go in like live with their families, and they can't go into homeless shelters either.
Mm,
They're screwed. They're
right.
done. Like that's worse. As far as I'm concerned, that's worse than going to jail.
So you're saying you can be registered as a sex offender in, one of the minor ages? Like how young?
There isn't a minimum age. I mean, I don't know what the lowest recorded one is, but I mean, there's tons of kids on there under the age of 18. And statistically, kids who offend before the age of 18 do not go on to reoffend, partly because they get the help that they need and they've got malleable minds and they're easy to rehabilitate.
Right.
So they don't go on to reoffend. And a good friend of mine is a witch, a wicked, like not, I mean, like a Wiccan witch, like a true witch. Full moon, she goes out naked, runs across the golf course at night, and
Okay.
goes in skinny dips It was her like little Wiccan moon worshiping thing.
Okay.
She got caught and she's a sex offender. You
What?
you urinate in a public place, you're a sex offender. If you get caught, and you're not it's not divided up of, here's the group of people who urinated in public. No, they're all sex offenders.
Wow.
Even like streaking or anything like that is put under sex offender.
Right. That's
And,
crazy.
and when it comes to sexual abuse prevention, people look at the sex offender list and they're like, "Oh, we're good. This person's good." No. Just because they haven't gotten caught doesn't mean they're good.
Right.
And I mean, it's if somebody's a violent offender against children, I think that's good to know about. But the parameters of a sexual offender is any offense having to do with your sexual organs at all,
Right.
which is pretty broad. So, yeah, it's dangerous. It's dangerous, super dangerous.
You have this How to Raise a Maverick. What's that all about?
Yeah, so that's my podcast and my website. And the deal with a Maverick, I don't know if you know the story of the original, not the Top Gun Maverick,
Oh, that's
which
the
is
first
what
thing came on was Tom Cruise.
exactly. So Samuel Maverick was a rancher, like in the 1800s, and he didn't want to brand his cows. So he's basically, people are like, he's lazy, whatever. He's like, I don't want to hurt the cows. He's like, my brand is the unbranded cow.
Okay.
And if you find a cow that doesn't have a brand on it, then it's mine.
Mm.
So it's how to raise a maverick is like how to raise kids that go out unbranded. These cows are going out and they're mingling around, they're mixing in, and they haven't been branded, they haven't been owned, they haven't been shaped by somebody else's perception of who they should be.
Mm.
Yeah, so raising mavericks who go out there and they're like, I'm going to be in society, but I'm not going to be of society.
Yeah. Do you think homeschooling is imperative for an outcome like that, or can people do that
Ooh,
with public schooling?
that's a
Because
good question. I don't know. I went to public school, I went to private school, I went to public school, but my parents were active. I mean, every night at dinner, my dad was like up on the soapbox, like preaching, you know, whatever morality and politics and everything every night. So yeah, I think you can, but you just have to teach them to question authority.
yeah.
Like you can this is what I love, appear to conform. You can
Uh,
sit in that classroom and you can take that in and you can listen, but do you have to conform? No. Somebody tells you, that's what my daughter's a free range kid. She rides her bike around. She goes somewhere she's not supposed to. Somebody's like, "Hey, get off those stairs." And I said, "You don't have to do what people tell you to, but you can appear as though you're being respectful and say, "Okay," and move right along.
right.
You don't have to go into battle with them even though you're in battle in your mind.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I was talking about that earlier about just being inconspicuous.
Yeah. Choose your battles very carefully and sit there, take it in, watch everybody else go crazy and make these bold statements about this and that, and just watch and observe. And that doesn't mean you're giving in. That doesn't mean that you're conforming to society. You're just choosing your time.
Right. 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 Hell yeah. That's deep right there. Um, so you read my article on pornography.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's hotepnation.com. The title of the post is ban porn, period. And some people took it as if I meant governmental form of banning. I'm basically anarchist, so I don't believe in having government, period. So when I say ban it, I mean ban it culturally.
Mm-hmm.
Where your friends would engage in it, you would, just like it was anything else that was uncool, you would treat them the same way and say, "Oh, oh, that's what you do? Oh, oh."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Um,
Yeah.
I think things need to be culturally shamed. sometimes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I am not a fan of censorship. I don't, and the government should not be messing with any of that. I
Right.
hate to say that. And I don't, I'll be totally straightforward with you. I don't know if I would have said that a year ago, but there's an organization called Fight the New Drug, um, and they've got really good messages about challenging pornography and helping people come over the addiction and just choose better options for their life. And they're adamant that they are not against the pornography industry. They are not about banning it. And I was like, why? Well, then I tried to run some ads on Facebook and my stuff got shut down. Censorship is all fun and games until it happens to you.
Fact. Fact.
And it's like it hit home is like, oh, this is what it feels like. This is the other side of censorship is
Yeah.
when somebody else gets to choose where my voice goes.
Hmm.
Not having any of that.
Yeah, it's Animal Farm all over again.
Yeah.
You know.
You just can't count, you can't silence people.
Yeah, it's very, very, very slippery slope. Even when they started banning, white nationalists on Twitter, and black people were celebrating, and I said, "Y'all don't celebrate, you next." And what happened?
Exactly.
A whole bunch of people from Black Twitter got banned. They're like, "Yo, what the fuck? These new Twitter rules, blah 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 blah." I'm like, "See, I told you. You thought that was just for a select group. No, your turn's coming, around the corner." So,
Yeah, totally.
I spoke up. I said, "Nah, let the white nationalists say what they want to say, yo." I've been in the Call of Duty lobby before on PlayStation. I'm not worried about being called an N word. You know.
We can hang. I love that about you. And it goes with religion as well. There's, people have my daughter just walked in. I'm on a call, baby. Yeah, so that's it.
Hotep to
Unless
the young
somebody's like
queen.
bleeding in the street, you're gonna have to talk to me later. Bye. um, but with religion as well. Sorry, I knew that was gonna happen.
It's all good.
She's wild and she's I knew it.
Let her
Um,
free.
yeah, but with religion, I support. I follow even like I have like a satanic. He's like a sex educator at a university. I will wildly support his right to do like that is his religion because the moment I say no or we like I don't like. Of course, do I like that? There's people that worship Satan. Like that doesn't feel good. There's like all kinds of other options, man.
Right.
Follow the light, but I'm not going to stop him. And protesting, I love when people protest.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't care what you protest. Do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody do it. Because as
Yeah.
soon like that's our right.
I used to pick up girls at protests.
Yeah. That was a nice segue.
It was
No,
like,
that's you know what? That's a good way to find people like to vet who somebody is and how they believe,
yeah,
how strongly they believe at a bar, not so much.
not so much. Yeah, like when you go to this protest, like we believe the same thing, right?
We're
So it's
good,
like
yeah.
it's just love at first sight.
So what kind of protest?
I used to go to like the Muslim, more like demonstrations and events, stuff like that. But yeah, I did Occupy Wall Street. My friend Dwayne Henry was he handled communications for Occupy Wall Street when they were down at Zuccotti Park in Wall Street, New York City. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I used to love it,
Like,
man. And I love the debate too. So, I was down to debate. In fact, Dinesh D'Souza has a clip of me in America, Imagine a World Without Her, where you see me in there, in the middle of a heated debate with somebody, and I got added to that clip. I remember signing that form. I should have asked for payment, but I remember signing that waiver. Like, fuck it, take it. But yeah,
yeah, you're like, this is good. I want it back.
hey, yeah, yeah.
So how would you how would you go about this banning it in a societal way, like a grassroots way? How do we make it uncool to watch porn? Or how do we make it cool to not watch porn?
So I would treat it just like I tell people that want to eat better.
Yeah.
I don't say stop eating bad food. I would say start eating good food. So, I would say start with breakfast. So you start off on the right foot instead of starting off with a bad habit. So I would like start off, your morning with an apple. Just start there, and then we worried about the rest of the days later. But if you can get Monday down and Tuesday down, and then now it's like, okay, I'm just starting to, understand, these different healthy foods that I like, and, exploring that. I would treat it the same exact way where it wouldn't you would be so preoccupied with something so more important you wouldn't have time for it.
Yes. I think more than taking things away, what are you going to add to your life? And pornography is voyeurism. If you were sneaking over to your like neighbor's house and looking through the window watching them have sex, that's not okay. It's just not. And
Yeah,
that's what we're doing.
yeah, yeah.
And that's your and people are really defensive about their pornography. And
They are.
I'm like, real sex is better. Just gonna
Absolutely.
say.
I said that on Rogan.
Authentic like connection and a real person is better. There's so many other things to do than and it pornography is a place, actually sex in general, sexual intercourse or like the sexual experience is a place you go.
Mm,
And especially pornography, it's also a place, in your mind, it's like a different state.
mm.
And when you're think about the people in those films and the things that are going on, and that's where you're going. Like, is that where you want to go?
Yeah,
Are
you should
those
have.
are those your people?
You got to see. My friend told me I was about 20 at the time, and I was actually hired to build a website for a pornography company,
Hmm.
and I contracted it out to this dude in Russia. He did all the work, but my friend said he was there and watched them shoot porn. He was like, "Yo, it's the most disgusting thing ever," because it's like they're shooting and then they got to redo the shot, and then it's like they got this other girl that tries to get the guy hard, and he's like, it's just like disgusting. Just think of it like a coronavirus infestation zone.
Yeah.
Just really disgusting. But yeah. I think you're completely on point with that thought. I think about you know I think about problems. I always think about opportunities and change, but uh, I don't have time for a lot of foolishness in my life.
Hmm.
You know, especially when I quit TV. You know, um, I feel like social media and TV are gateways to things like pornography.
Yeah.
Especially like social media. I want to ask you this now. Twitter will ban the white nationalists. They'll ban Farrakhan, ban all these people that they don't agree with. Um, Alex Jones. What?
Me.
Wait, what?
Me. They banned me.
They banned you?
Yeah. Facebook, all the social media sites
What?
for 8 months.
What? See, I ain't know that.
Yeah.
Why?
I was banned. Yeah, that's what I was saying is like I was kind of open to the idea of like maybe yeah,
When you said you were
censorship
banned, you
is
were for
fine.
real. Like you got banned for real.
Banned.
Oh,
Like all my work was censored.
wow. I didn't know
And you
that.
know what's funny about it? I mean, this isn't what fixed it, but I was like, I'm going to call Fox News and talk about how they're hiding pedophiles and supporting pedophiles. And the next day it got lifted and I was like, you're listening.
That's
I was
that
like,
more.
I'm going to make this work for me.
That's
Um,
that's that more Karen power.
yeah. Can I talk to the manager?
I need to talk to the manager.
Gonna get my hair cut. um,
But they ban all these people, but Twitter will not ban porn.
yeah.
Like
Interesting, right?
I share.
Twitter doesn't. No, wait. Twitter doesn't ban porn. So, can you find porn on Twitter site?
Yeah,
You're kidding.
easily. That's like the OnlyFans women. I said something when I put my ban porn stance out there. They flooded my mentions with them like fornicating and masturbating, all in my mentions. This is what happened. Posting videos, like live videos directly to me. Like
So just from this, you were getting porn sent to you.
porn sent to me with links to their
Dang.
OnlyFans, using this as an opportunity to sell, to traffic their sex.
Right.
Yeah.
And Twitter. Dang.
So what do you feel like the social media sites have been porn? That's sticky, right?
That's true. Yeah, it's tricky. I don't know. I think I'm going to have to say no,
Okay.
because if they do, they can ban my stuff,
Why?
because they can ban whatever the hell they want.
Because it's just a slippery slope. It's just a domino effect, right?
Yeah,
Once
it's
you give people
censorship is
authorization.
censorship, and it's like if there's a difference between sexually abusing, like with children and rape, and there's things like that that are crime, but like people having sex and pornography is not a crime.
Right. In some
Should
states.
should we not participate in platforms that allow it? Maybe that would be better.
You wouldn't be able to survive. Your iPhone is connected to some pornography. Your
Yeah, all
movies
of it
are
is.
connected to pornography. No matter where you go, your bank is connected to pornography somehow. It's all connected.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody should self quarantine. Self quarantine themselves from uh the media.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because we're knee deep in it right now. We've quarantined ourselves from our communities, and we've sunken into this like it's like the Tower of Babel. It's so much information. It really is. And we're being struck down right now. It's so much information. It's like the Dark Ages. They were
Hmm.
burning books back then. Now it's a fire hose of so much information. Nobody knows what's going on. It's the same darkness as it, like not having the information, having too much. It's the same level of ignorance.
Yeah. So here's my thing with banning porn on Twitter. It's banned on Instagram.
Hmm.
Also, it disallows us. So here's my rule for society. Uh, if it can't exist for kids, it's not good.
Mm,
If it
true.
can't exist, if it can't exist to learn, it's not good. That's meant for privacy.
Hmm.
The learning apparatus of Twitter, it's definitely a place where you can learn, exchange ideas, and communicate. Facebook can be a place to learn. These places aren't places to learn, however. They're places to be brainwashed and sidetracked into people's agendas and so on and so forth. But I feel like that is like the thing you have to look for. Does it nurture life?
Mm,
Is what you're giving me a titty? Titties nurture life. Does it nurture life? Is it feminine in nature where it nurtures life? Or is it masculine where it kind of molds? Or is there a blend of the two? But these apparatuses must nurture life. And I think if it's not that, we need to take a close examination of it as a society and say, this is not good. Let's fix this. In China, you can't get Facebook and Google.
I know. Well, that's the other side of it. You look at the countries who have these bans. It's just such extremes. But I'm with you. If we could create a community where it's like, ooh, you go to the dark side to do that. Like you don't bring that over here. We don't want anything to do with you. Like you're not of the light.
Right, right. If it's not of that, we can't associate ourselves with it. That's really my solution for a lot of stuff is like isolation, you know, and isolation and focus. My old mentor used to say, call it putting the blinders on. It's like you have to have a goal, and then you got to put the blinders on. You got to go.
Yeah.
So like I have trouble sleeping. Like I can't. I have trouble falling asleep, and I have trouble staying asleep. So once I'm up, I'm up. You know what I mean? And it's hard to go down because I can't. Yeah, I can't stop working. Like I'll get up and head back to the laptop and keep working. So I have to tell myself like, nah, it's time to rest. We got to chill out. So Um, people need people when people don't have, and I think pornography distracts us from these things. These things that we could focus on. Children are leaving school and they don't know what they want to be. 16 years old. You've been on the planet 20 years.
Oh yeah, they graduate. I've got stepkids that are 25.
And we don't know what we want to be. And a
Yeah,
lot
they
of
get
it,
out of
like you
college and
said,
they still don't know what
society
they want to do.
is telling us what we can and cannot be. You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's funny because a lot of people just thinking about the government and, everybody feels like the government's got them down, their parents have got them down. And then I have on the back of my phone, really poorly written, it says you can change the world or you can play with your phone. And it's this constant reminder of, this, it's not the government, it's not anybody else, it's me. It's just this, like, you go onto your phone and to check what time it is. And people who have got an addiction to porn, it's like, what do you not like? What's it taking away from you? What's the price? The price is high for that free porn,
Your life.
super high. And here's the other thing too with the pornography, especially the free porn, is you don't know if that person is there consensually.
Mm,
Pornography and the sex trafficking industry are like two peas in a pod. So
right.
somebody comes into the industry, is sex trafficked. The first thing that they're going to do is shoot films with them because their bodies aren't damaged. They're not bruised. They're not hurt. And then after that, they will sell them. That's how that
Mm,
goes. So
mm.
you don't know if you're watching a full on rape situation and you're contributing to sex trafficking. And you're like, oh, it's free porn. No, 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 no. It's not free. People are paying, you're paying those, your eyes are funding the advertising that are going to Kraft Heinz put ads on Pornhub for Super Bowl.
Yeah, you heard about Pornhub had all those girls that were being sex trafficked, right?
Yeah, and raped, like full on rape films. And the girls were like trying to get them pulled off and they wouldn't do it until they got a lawyer. And in India, we look at other countries and we're like, oh, the atrocities, these horrible people in these other countries are doing these horrible things. But it's the same thing. But in India, they have a massive rape culture. And you could go into any convenience store and they've got local girls that have been raped and there's videos and you can buy the videos of the local girls being raped.
What? Where is
But
this?
India.
What? Oh my God.
But I don't know, is that any worse than pornography? Like, just because they're not local?
That's true. And you getting it for free.
Yeah, it's anywhere. It's so
Yeah, people's actions in today's society affect a lot of people. We think, like these phones, they affect Africa. People dying over these phones, dying over these laptop parts to get these luxuries, and then we take it and we piss it away and jerk off to these shits.
yeah. Yeah.
Somebody
There's
died for you to jerk off.
right?
Yeah, it's really crazy,
Here's
crazy.
here's the other part about pornography that I have a real hard time with is so there's something called arousal non-concordance, and Emily Nagoski and Come As You Are wrote about it, but the study was done quite a while ago where they had men and women, they were both tested of the blood flow to the genitals, meaning, they had an erection or vaginal wetness or whatever, which would normally indicate that they were aroused. And they would watch pornography. They had little buzzers that would say, I'm turned on by this, or, whenever they're turned on. Then they put the data together of what they said they were turned on by versus how their body was responding. So only 50% of the time were the men aroused physically and mentally at the same time.
Mm,
Only 50% of the time. And
mm,
for women, it's only 20% of the time. So
mm,
what ends up happening is anytime you're watching anything sexual, it could be a rape scene, it could be anything where you're like, whoa, I'm not into this at all. And your body will go, oh, there's something sexual happening. Blood flow.
mm,
So you're like, oh, I'm kind of I must be kind of into this. I didn't know
mm,
I was into that.
mm,
Then you're watching porn and they mix sex, which you're going to have a body response to. Your body goes, oh, yep, turned on by this or ready for this or whatever, even though you're not. And then it weaves in violence.
Mm.
And this is the tricky part is now you're like, oh, this is my thing. I like this violent, hardcore rape type or whatever whatever that situation unique. These
Right.
are very unique situations that aren't going to happen in a regular human to human experience most of the time.
Right.
But you know where you can get that? Nowhere but pornography,
Yeah.
nowhere but online. They've got you. They're like, this is who you are.
Mm.
And the only place in the whole world that's going to satisfy this for you is right here. You go out and do this in the real world, it's illegal. They're going to lock you up. This is where you are. This is who you are.
A place to escape to.
Yeah, it's a place to escape to, and it also defines you. And now you're like, oh, I'm this guy or girl that's into this. This is who I am. And
Mm.
then the novelty needs to get higher and higher and more taboo to get that feeling, that initial shock feeling that they got when those two were meshed together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we lead into child pornography and pedophilia. That's the most extreme. That and bestiality and snuff films. Those are the most extreme, the most taboo.
Mm. You
And
said
our
what film? Snuff films?
snuff films,
What's that?
it's where they kill the person in it.
What?
Yeah, so there's like some underground films that you can buy where people are killed in them.
What? Like real life killing, or they pretending they killed? Oh my Lord Jesus!
But it's presented as them being killed.
Right, as them actually being killed.
Yeah.
Lord, the devil is working. The
He's
devil
having
is
he's having a
working.
party for she's having a party.
Chad Lemoyne, 9.99 super chat. He said, "Hotep Jesus make me try to change the world by playing with my phone, but he does tell my wife to take my phone away because I'm having too much fun changing the world. So I guess you have a point. Yeah, I mean, you could use your phone to change the world.
Yeah. Well, you can play with your phone or you can work with your phone. It's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
a distraction or a tool.
I tell my kids all the time. When I do allow them to have an iPad, I ask them, I say, how much money you made off the iPad? They said none. I think it's treating you bad.
That thing needs to be a cash machine. Ching.
Hey, you ain't got no money flowing yet. um, damn. So earlier I mentioned maps. Somebody in the
Yeah.
chat did correct me. It's minor attracted person.
Mm.
So that's something to keep on your radar. Look for that. They call them maps. There's also a documentary out. Chat, help me. I put this documentary in our chat a little while back. I forget the name of it, but covering Pizzagate.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that?
Yeah, some of it was like a little bit convoluted for me.
Okay.
They were making these like broad sweeping connections and
Right.
um but there's no doubt in my mind. I'm a skeptic on everything.
You know
Pizzagate
what?
made me a little bit skeptical.
You, you,
Um,
you know what scared me was Bad Baby when he made the connection between the BHA
oh yeah,
and then Bad Baby. That's the girl that was on Catch Me Outside. How about that girl?
yeah,
And she's a minor,
mm-hmm,
presenting herself as a woman in hip hop. And in
mm-hmm,
fact, Adrian Broner had an altercation where he approached her thinking she was of age, and she put him on blast. So some people are thinking that she's there to kind of like set dudes up for the whole, like you said, sexual predator type
mm-hmm.
trap. But that part stood out to me the most because when I saw that BHA, I'm like, maybe you guys got something here.
Yeah, no, there was definitely some stuff in there. I think when he was looking at the websites and it would lead to, where it showed the young girls in the swimsuits.
Mm-hmm.
first, if you went down a traditional road of looking at it, and then you had this other keywords put in there, that kind of stuff. Here's the deal. It is everywhere. This stuff is black mold. It
Mhm.
is creeping underneath our floorboards. You don't know it's there until you get a whiff of it, and you're like, something's going on. You pull up the boards, and it's everywhere, and it's so hard to get rid of.
Mm.
It's so hard. The victimization of children is historically, I mean, this stuff has been going on. Brooke Shields was 10 I think she was 10 years old when she was photographed for Playboy
10?
in print, in the magazine print.
10?
10 years old, full nudity.
Brooke Shields?
Brooke Shields.
Wow.
Her parents should be locked up for that.
Her
I
mama
mean,
let that happen?
every right? Like,
Like,
of all people who should have been like, absolutely not. She
right.
was not protected.
Sold it right to Hollywood.
Yeah, at 10. And nobody stopped it.
Nobody on that set.
Nobody on that set. And it went to the publishers. It got printed out. You know what I mean? On this is it, I mean, the internet, anybody can post anything. I can see how easy, because there's such a minimum barrier.
But back in the day, you got to go through a lot to publish something.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know. So it's just it's a lot.
How old is this industry?
Ooh, pornography?
Yeah, I think it took off in like the 80s, right?
Now, are we talking? I just looked this up. Are we talking 1842? Pornography means an ancient obscene painting, especially in the temples of Bacchus,
Is
depicting
this
prostitutes.
what country is this? Austria, France, Germany?
Let's see, a brothel in ancient Greece, ancient Greek.
Well, I know the ancient Greeks, so they was getting nasty, nasty.
Oh yeah, they were all
That was the original.
Romans. Yeah, so I mean, I think it first started with like painting,
Right,
pornography.
and novels and plays.
Erotica. There's a difference. There's a difference between erotica and pornography, and erotica has been going on for a long time too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a film done by Andy Warhol.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go like deep into the recesses of my mind here. There's one particular film that he did that switched it over, and that became pornography as we know it now.
Andy Warhol.
Yeah, somebody in the chat dig that up.
Somebody going, no, I promise you. Somebody
Yeah.
said Bacchus, the Greek god. Do you remember? Well, you're from Colorado, but do you know? You might know historically when all of Times Square was pornography. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay, so
Are you talking about like Naked Cowboy?
nah,
Naked Cowgirl?
Naked Cowboy
No.
is like Disney compared to what was going on. You would go in and they have like peep shows, and XXX. You'd see it all down the street, and you'd go in and you'd put your money in, and there'd be a girl on the other side of the window that would do whatever, and you paid per minute. And then he had the VHS tapes and so on and so forth.
Oh, okay.
But New York City, like that whole Times Square, like which now is like tourist. Oh, that whole
Really?
strip was all pornography.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, go look up that history of that New York. And then Mayor, damn, I can't, it's slipping my, was it Giuliani? I want to say Giuliani came in and cleaned that whole thing out. And now and now you'll see a couple of strip clubs, that are really discreet near Times Square. But other than that, yeah, man, that whole thing was, I want to say the 80s is where it blew up. There's a documentary on Netflix. My shorty was watching it, and pretty interesting about the girls in pornography. Did you see it?
No.
Yeah, it's one on Netflix now when they're just talking about You made me think of that when you said you saw that thing in that girl's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these girls are talking about some of that hurt and pain, but they're talking about how the industry got started, how it's different now. Back in those days, you got paid noodles, and you know, like you said, you could be in situations you didn't want to be in. And guys took advantage of you, um, and you didn't own your material, you didn't get the royalties. So there's also like a business exploitation of women in pornography.
So what's your take on prostitutes and prostitution?
Um, everything outside of marital sex or monogamous sex should be forbidden. Like, why y'all out here just doing this nasty stuff? Go get a job. Go get a hobby. Go learn to paint. Do something with your time. You out here, humping on horse. But at the same time, um, I don't know. I just feel like we need. That's why I like Vegas. Like, I love that Vegas exists. Right? You want to do something wild and crazy? Go do that shit in Vegas. Leave the rest of us alone. You know,
Hmm.
like I feel like if you want to get into certain types of behavior, there should be an island where you can go for that. Like,
Right.
yo, they do this there. But where people are trying to like raise their family, like, nah, chill. Like, can we get a break from it all?
Yeah.
You know?
So you're not against it existing. You just don't want.
Right.
Well,
I'm
you're
not, like I said, I'm an anarchist. Like, if you want to sell your, I'm sorry, you want to sell your vajayjay, then hey, that's yours. I think you got every right to sell that thing. If you could sell it at a good price, sell it. That's on you. I'm still judging you as an individual.
there's all kinds of sweeping judgment going on, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't want my children near you.
Yeah.
Not to say you can't be a good person either, because some of the best women I've ever met intellectually were strippers.
Yeah, you remember the movie Juno?
No, I never seen that.
So, yeah, it's a good movie. But the gal who wrote it, it's really clever, was a stripper, and I think she went to law school, and she was paying her way through law school stripping. And I think that was actually one of the things that made me feel okay about doing the stuff with Playboy. Is I was like, gosh, what was her name? It's like Wolfgang something. She's got a stage name like that, and
Mm,
I'm like, she used it to like lift herself up in society, and she was playing the game. She's like, yeah, I'm
right.
going to get up here and dance, and I'm going to make a bunch of money, and I'm going to become a lawyer and a screenwriter, and I'm going to do all these great things.
Yeah.
Watch me. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome,
Right.
but that's rare. Those are unicorns.
Yeah, yeah. It's very rare you're gonna have somebody to do that. Absolutely, and more power to her. If you can come out here and get it, like I'm a believer in free will. Like, at the individual level, do whatever the hell you want. As long as it doesn't
Yeah.
affect everybody else. But I don't. I'm not. I'm actually not one to judge women that deal in the business, because
Sex work. Yeah.
yeah, because I'll be honest with you, strippers gravitate towards me. I think it's because I treat them like normal people. Like, you know,
Right.
um, but
It's like cats when you ignore them.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they, like, but I've found that they're very intelligent, they're good-hearted people. They're not much. They're actually probably better girlfriends than the average chick. They're probably less of a whore than the average chick too. The average chick is giving away the pussy for free. At least she's selling hers. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like she might
She,
be a little bit smarter.
right. Right.
Like, if you're gonna be a whore, at least get paid. I don't know if I'm
Truth
wrong on that.
bombs, dropping massive truth bombs.
Am I wrong in saying that though?
I don't know.
What's cheaper than a free whore? Like, that's really bad. Like, at least you have to get compensated for your time. It's work.
Right. Right. Well, I was actually listening to one of the shows on Jason Stapleton, and he was talking, I think it was like a renegade's history of the United States. I don't know if you caught that one.
Hmm.
And he was talking about how the United States used to, like, the true history of what happened. It wasn't this like puritanical. religious, upwardly mobile kind of system that people led us to believe. They were like pirates, and like it was rough.
Right.
And there were enough pubs and bars for every single human being to be in there getting drunk. And there was, on average, they would drink a pint of hard alcohol a day, and they would drink on the job, and they drink. But the women who owned businesses, which a lot of them did, they would take off and leave their husbands, and they'd start brothels and bars. And it was like a period of time where women had a ton of control and owned a lot of the businesses,
Mm.
and made, I don't know about the majority, but made a significant amount of money
Mm.
doing those things. So
Mm.
we talk about like the roots of our country. How we really came up wasn't this like puritanical, we're going to grow cabbage and, kill the Indians. And
Wait, where is this? Where is this thing happening?
this is America, like when they first
Do you remember
founded
what part
America.
though? It sounded like something happened in Virginia. That sounded like some Virginia. Well,
I
what
know.
would I Google?
You know what? New Orleans, like the history of New
Oh
Orleans
yeah,
goes
New
deep.
Orleans. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know
What would I Google to
geographically.
find out more information?
Um, the guy, the author, I think it's called the history, Renegade's History of the
Renegade
United
History.
States. He actually has an online course, and he was on Jason Stapleton's show a couple episodes ago. I don't think that was happening in Utah. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they definitely happen in Utah.
Utah. Maybe, I don't know, New York, Massachusetts, Boston,
Yeah.
New
Um.
Orleans, Florida,
Right. Right.
the
So
coast.
I want to put this thought on your mind and tell me what you think. Right. So, like I said, I don't judge. I technically don't judge people on an individual level because I'm like they could, like it's it. Here's when I was a kid. This is what I thought. I thought women had so much privilege. I was like, yo, I wish I was a girl. Like, I really wish I was a girl. Like, they got it easy. Like I just felt like they had it easy. And I said, if I was a woman, I'd be a stripper, but I'd be a virgin. I wouldn't give it to nobody. Right.
Hmm.
That's what I thought as a kid. I'm like, just makes sense. Like, oh yeah, just throw money at you. Really? Like dudes do that? Like, wow, that's wild. So now when I think about this problem, I think about competition. Really, it's just competition we're talking about here. I'm a business guy, so I think in markets and competition. So pornography is actually a competitor. So if I want to move people into investing, I'm actually competing with time. So
Hmm.
what I
Yeah.
want to do is I want to just occupy so much time that pornography doesn't have time amongst
Hmm.
a larger audience. And that's really the game we're playing. So it's like I'll look at the whore and be like, yo, what's up? Like we cool, whatever, whatever. I'll look at the stripper and say, yo, we cool, whatever, whatever. I respect your hustle, I respect your gangster, I respect you as a person. I'm not hating on you. I don't like what you do, so I'm going to compete against you
Hmm.
by showing people this is what we should be doing with our lives instead of that.
Yeah.
You
That's
know.
awesome. Yeah. So
Also, I
what
think men would get laid more too.
if they didn't watch pornography?
Yeah, I mean, women are attracted to men that are driven and like moving and shaking and grooving, right?
Like jacking off in your basement's not hot. Let's
That's
be honest.
not.
Hey, check this out too. So a lot of young men are having, well, I mean, they're seeing this like increase of younger men coming into clinics saying that they're having a hard time getting erections because they're masturbating to pornography, and they're having erectile dysfunction.
Whacking off too much. You don't whack your
That's
loins off too much, man. You ain't got no juice left.
that's embarrassing.
Scarface said, "All I got is my words and my balls, and I don't break them for nobody." That's what Scarface said. You ever saw that movie Scarface?
No.
Oh, really?
I know. I
It's classic.
know.
It's a classic hood. It's a classic hood movie. It's not a hood movie, but it's a Cuban hood movie technically. Um, but
All
yeah,
kinds of hood. There's
yeah,
all
Cuban,
kinds of hoods.
yeah. Um,
Right on.
but Al
Yeah.
Pacino, yeah, like I always took that literally. My balls. Like, how you gonna break your balls? Now that's what that means.
That's how you do it.
Yeah. That's how you break your balls. Man, I said it on Rogan. I don't know if you saw my interview on Rogan.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, go check that out.
Okay, good.
I told Rogan porn's bad, yo. We can't be out here whacking off, bro. You
Yeah,
know,
how did he respond to that?
he was cool. He was receptive to it. He you know he seemed like he was cool with porn, right? At first, he was
Yeah,
like, yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I've heard him say a few things where I'm like, you
yeah.
know,
He made it seem like I at first he seemed like it was kind of caught off guard. Like, really, you know, fuck with porn, like that's not cool. And I'm like, nah, it's not cool. Jerking off. And what I said was, I said, a orgasm with the woman is never the same as when you by yourself.
yeah.
You
And plus,
know,
it's consumption. It's like you were talking about, like eating good food. What goes in is what you're made of, and yeah, watch what you consume for sure.
when you get pornography, you get a glitch. You get a glitch nut.
A glitch nut.
A glitch nut. It's like it's not a full nut.
Right, right, right. I see what you're saying.
It's a glitch. It's just like it happened because of something biological.
Right, right. It's not a spiritual connection.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was half ass. It was very half ass.
Mechanical.
Very mechanical. Right. Right.
Right on, man. I think we've covered a lot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Wonderful conversation. I appreciate you coming through. Tell people your website address again.
It's howtoRaiseAMaverick.com.
See
And
what?
that's my podcast. And you can connect with me, send me emails, send me your thoughts. Then also the podcast, anywhere you can find podcasts. I have some abuse prevention courses that I teach. I use analogies found in nature to teach kids about predators. And I teach a lot about how to combat that social grooming that and also pornography, obviously,
Mm,
all that good stuff.
dope. Dope. Well, I'm Hotep Jesus, and I have this thing called MAW. MAW. Are you familiar with it?
No.
MAWW is middle aged white women. And what I say is,
Is that me?
yes, that is you. You are the ultimate mall. But
Is
I
that like a
think,
Karen?
well, it's different from the Karen. You see, there's definitely some connection on the Venn diagram. You know what I mean? Absolutely.
Okay, right, right.
There's some overlap
I'm
there.
gonna talk to the I'm gonna talk to the manager.
Yeah. But that's the power you guys have. If anybody's gonna save the world, it's y'all, and you got my back in 100%.
Nice, good. I'm out
Hell
trying to
yeah.
change the world.
That's what's up. It's been
Thank you
another.
so much. This has been fun.
Hell yeah. Anytime you want, come back, let me know. Just hit me. You got all my contact information. I'd love to have you back. Shout out to the chat. Matthew Everson says Thaddeus Russell is his name, Renegade University. Well, we're gonna
Yes.
check out his work.
No, you're gonna love it.
I am gonna check that out. That sounds like
His
required material.
so his family were professional Marxists
Mm,
I don't know, in California, but that's what they did professionally, is to have these jobs to progress the Marxist movement.
really? Oh,
And I was he at Harvard? I don't know, in one of the Ivy League schools, and he just kind of had an awakening and started questioning things. And he basically got fired for his presentation of history. And I'm like, oh, this is good.
oh, hell yeah.
So it's very contradictory to what our perception or what we've been taught the American history. I think history, American history.
The people's.
It's the history of the United States for a united people or something like that.
Yeah.
I totally jumbled that up. Is also a good one where it just skews it and goes, oh, if you look at it this way, I would love. I'll send you a link. I want to see what you have to say about it.
Send it to me. I'm gonna devour it.
Yeah, especially from a Black perspective, I have nowhere to talk about any of that. And I think he talks about slavery and different things. So yeah, I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
I think I read that one. I know what you're talking about. I think I read that. It's called The People's History of America.
Yeah, I think, or something for United Peoples or something. Anyways, yeah. And was it like that where it was like conflicting information where you're
Oh
like,
yeah, I was like, oh, ain't nobody tell me this in high school.
yes.
It was that type of book. Let me before you go, let me just try and see if I can pull it up. This was written by a dude by the name of oh man, hold on. Let me go to the beginning here. My bad.
Let's see if I can find it too. We need assistance where
Right. I need me a sister like Rogan. Howard Zinn. That's not the author, is it?
I think it is A People's History. Yes. A People's History of the United States.
By Howard Zinn?
Yes,
Is
that's
that
it.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read
It's a
that.
historians may well view it as a step towards a coherent new version of American history. So yeah, it's like the history of America that you weren't taught in school. Huge
Yeah.
wake up call. It's
Yeah.
good. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Hell yeah. Good stuff. Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
you. Best luck. Everybody, this is another uncomfortable conversation. Stay right here on the channel. I'll be back in about 30 minutes. We got the Black conservatives. We're going to be talking about Ahmaud Arbery shootings, race relations, Black conservatism, Republicans. Oh, it's going to be wild. Shots might get fired. You never know what's going to happen. So make sure y'all stay tuned. 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Emily, thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Honored to be here.